What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Camper Report. Today we have got a guest that was recommended to me by a friend that watches the show. I think he's probably in the stream. He's a regular to the show. And I was like, okay, this seems like a cool Seahawks content creator. I checked out his channel a few weeks ago. And I discovered him. Seems like a smart guy, great Seahawks content creator. So if you want to find him, I'll let you promote your show. But Joe Stevens, everyone, if you want to find him, the links to his YouTube and Twitter are in the description. How are you doing today? I forgot to ask you backstage, what do I call you? Because I come from the South. I come from North Carolina, where we had to call everyone Mr. This, Mr. So what? Before we start, is it Joe, Mr. Stevens? I don't know. Okay, Joe. Okay.
Joe is fine.
And promote yourself a little bit. What do you do? Obviously you're a content creator for everyone out there, but what do you do? And yeah.
I just talk about the Seahawks. I have a YouTube channel, and we just talk about the Seahawks. It's Seahawks Talk or Seahawk Talk, and that's about it. I mean, I actually have a lot of 49ers fans on all the time. It's hard to get Seahawks. There's not a lot of Seahawks podcasters or YouTubers or whatever this is, but yeah, just I'm a big Seahawks fan and just decided, hey, let's start a YouTube channel. So,
well, if you ever want a guy, do you know who the Hawks Nest is? Or
maybe
Seahawks Nester. I think he's called Seahawks Nester on Twitter. I can actually look it up right now. What is his channel? He doesn't respond a ton on Twitter. I'll text you afterwards, but he's a great Seahawks content creator. Yeah, I think it's the Hawks Nest. And he that would be a great guess if you ever want a Seahawks content creator. I can text him that you're coming along and refer you to him because he's a great guy. But yeah, so guys, we're going to talk Seahawks today. Unfortunately, maybe not as much the 49ers. I'm kind of doing this around the NFL content creation, trying to get as many people from as many content creators, fans from different NFL teams to talk about their team. Obviously, it's a dead period in most NFL news, and so you kind of have to spice it up. And so this is what I thought of. Shout out to Tom Grossi because he's doing 30 NFL stadiums in 30 days. So I was like, I kind of want to do something similar to that. So this is what I'm going to do. It's called Around the NFL. So let's get to the first topic, though. Let's talk about a little bit about the draft and how the Seahawks with Najigba, they obviously drafted Najigba pick 18, and then they had Charbonnet, the running back, in the fourth round. You guys drafted him, and I actually know him very well because he was from Michigan and he transferred to UCLA, and I'm a big Michigan fan because of Jim Harbaugh. So how big of an impact, what's the rotation like? The Seahawks, I mean, obviously, how will they work these guys into the rotation of the offense? Najigba and Charbonnet, the two newest weapons on your guys' offense position.
Well, I haven't seen Charbonnet a whole lot. Just all I've seen is highlights. I haven't watched tape of him. So what I'm kind of assuming is more of a power back kind of guy, right?
Right.
To work in with Ken Walker. And that's what they wanted to do last year with Penny Walker, but Penny got hurt obviously early in the season. So Walker had to become the feature back, and he really stood out doing so. So if we can stumble upon a 1-2 punch like we were planning on having, I think having two guys is a lot deadlier than one, because when Walker was out last year, it was really you could really tell a difference, right? When you're starting running backs out. And then who were you asking about the other guy?
Najigba, Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yeah, and I that's another one I think is going to be huge, right? Because we've never had a third wide receiver since DK has came along, right? It was kind of just Lockett and DK, and hopefully this guy will be a number 3. I think he has the potential to be a number 1 receiver. He was the first receiver drafted. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty scary this year with the weapons we have. As long as everybody can stay healthy, because that's always big question.
Well, the biggest thing to me that stands out is this year, you guys, I mean, what you guys did with Geno Smith, and then you still, I mean, you were a competent team last year, and then you go out and you still have 2 first-round picks. And so that to me, it's like Jackson Smith-Njigba fell. I mean, he really did. A lot of I had him mocked like the 11 to 13 range. He goes 18. So as soon as the Seahawks saw him on the board, they were stoked. I could see that. I mean, they were stoked to get this guy, and it's really, I think, just a replacement for maybe Tyler Lockett. He's getting up there in age, but I think the production, will get into kind of what Jackson Smith-Njigba's production will be later on the show. But Charbonnet, that's where, like in fantasy, Kenneth Walker, he was a great guy last year, and honestly, I don't know if you could see more Charbonnet touches inside 15 yards, and so and maybe that's why. I mean, I think running backs, you saw it with Breece Hall last year. Every team, I think, needs to have a second competent running back that can really carry the rock as well, because you lean too much on these younger running backs. And obviously, even though Kenneth Walker's now, this is going to be his second year in the league, it's like you lean too much on running backs that are just coming out. I mean, haven't even been in the league for 3 years. They probably still have that college body a little bit. And we saw what happened with Breece Hall. It's hard to keep them healthy. So the Seahawks did the right thing. I mean, I think you guys probably had one of the best drafts out of any NFL team in the draft, because you addressed every single position of need and you added on to strengths. It's just
a little, the D-line could use help.
Yeah, that's true.
Could definitely use help. So I think a lot of people, when we drafted Witherspoon, the 5th overall pick, I think that a lot of people thought we were going to take Jalen Carter. And I thought we were going to take Jalen Carter, but that's the thing with, if Pete Carroll sees a character issue with a guy, it must be a big character issue with the guy, right? So I'm not bummed that we passed on him. I'm a little nervous that we passed on him if he becomes the next Aaron Donald, but I mean, 9 other teams passed on him as well. So you got to look at it from that point. And I don't know. It's just the D-line is the only thing that I'd say that we really I'm actually kind of nervous about going into the season, but we kind of shored that up with the linebacker play of Bobby Wagner coming back. So,
well, and the thing that's going back to Njigba, it's like the thing now, you can't really focus on DK Metcalf, because Njigba, you saw him play a lot out of the slot in Ohio State. I got to see him play a lot, and it's just like he's a big third down guy. It's like I remember watching Russell Wilson back in the day. It would be a 3rd and 15, and they'd complete it. And so I think you guys are slowly getting back to that where, not only do you have to worry about DK Metcalf, a freak of nature on the outside, now you have to worry about Njigba.
And Lockett.
Right. And Lockett. Exactly. Do you guys, who is your 4th receiver? I haven't looked at it in a while. So I wonder if do you have any like speed receivers? Because like that would like end around putting a guy in motion would be killer.
That's a big debate. So, we drafted Dwayne Eskridge 2 years ago in the 2nd or 3rd round. And he's just kind of been, I think he's had 17 catches in 2 seasons, something like that. I mean, this is a make or break year for him. So, hopefully he can step up. We have another guy, Derek Young. He's another kind of speedy guy that we got, kind of battling for that 4th, 5th receiver spot. And then we have a undrafted rookie that I guess is standing out, Jake Bobo. We'll see when training camp starts, because all this is just based off OTAs, right? So it's just basically all against air. But I mean, 1 through 3 were pretty good. I think we have the best 3 receivers in the NFL right now. Top 3. Well, I'd say top 5 receiving tandems in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure.
Are 3 guys.
So Bryant Colt, Thanksgiving, bring on the Seahawks. I have been waiting for this. I wanted the 49ers for so long to play on Thanksgiving. And all the Thanksgiving games are just not like, they've never been that good. And now, like, this Thanksgiving slate, I'm actually kind of excited for. I believe you also have like the Lions and the Cowboys. That should be a good game. I believe that's who they're playing.
So it's probably the Lions are playing somebody, and then the Cowboys are playing somebody because they
I'm
each have home games every year.
I'm pretty sure it's Lions versus Cowboys. I can quickly look that up. Thanksgiving 2023.
But yeah, I'll be there. It's in Seattle, right? So
Really?
yeah, I
Okay.
go to all the games. Yeah.
Oh, are you a season ticket holder?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was going to go to the Eagles 49ers game in Philadelphia this year, but probably not going to happen. So it's Green Bay at Detroit,
That'll be
Commanders,
good.
Dallas, Cowboys.
Who plays the
So,
Cowboys on Thanksgiving?
Commanders.
Oh, the Commodores.
Yeah, that they honestly just like, I don't know. That name needs to almost be rechanged.
I think so too. And they got new ownership. Just make it a 3-year thing and then change it back, or not change it back, but change it to something better.
Yeah. Not the football team. That was
Yeah, that was weird. It's weird too because I live in Washington, right? So obviously everybody talks about the Huskies and they'll say Washington football. Oh, I watch Washington football, and then it's like, okay, Washington football team is different. Yeah, it was.
I have friends that are from Washington, and they have to specify between Washington State and like Washington, like DC, or like, because
up until like probably second grade, I really thought the president lived here in Washington.
Yeah. Hey, Ben and Joe, Niners and Seahawks talk. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a good show today. This is going to be a great show. Thank you, Brian. Ben and Joe, this could be a cool show every season. Jake Bobo, wide receiver, UCLA, will make the team. He will help unleash the Kraken.
He's a big Jake Bobo fan, but yeah, he's standing out, I guess, in minicamp. He's kind of battling for that 5th receiver spot. We got a bunch of guys, so that's the thing is like we talked about, wide receiver 1 through 3 is pretty much set in stone right now. It's probably Lockett 1, DK 2, and then or you could flip, but JSN will be 3, right? So the question is who's 4 and 5, and we got about probably 10 guys going after those 4th and 5th receiving spots. And then another guy, not to I'm kind of circling back to running back. We got another guy, Kenny McIntosh. He's a Georgia running back, and I guess he's kind of a receiving running back. He'll be a good 3rd down guy. I guess he's really good out of the backfield. So that's another guy to look out for. We lost Travis Homer to Chicago, which it's not a huge loss, but you'll probably remember him. He's the one that did the fake punt against you guys.
He was on the team when we had that huge vying for the division in 2019, 2020
that was so
season.
Fun.
I feel like you guys would have blown us out of the water if you actually would have had a competent running back on your team.
Well, we had a 50-year-old Marshawn Lynch.
but I think at that point he probably wasn't that great. I don't know. I mean, the stories about him selling, what was it, margaritas or whatever the week before or something in the parking lot. I think that was the story.
And you know what screwed that up though? Remember that pass we had? We had it down to like the 2-yard line, and then we couldn't get to the line of scrimmage. We had 40 seconds to get down there to the 2-yard line with no timeouts, and nobody could get to the line of scrimmage. I was so pissed.
That game was probably one of the best game of recent memory that I've ever watched. So yeah.
Oh yeah, as a 49ers fan, and honestly as a Seahawks fan too, because there was a half a yard or maybe an inch that really determined the outcome of that.
Were you guys really that pissed about the call? I think it was the play before holding on Fred Warner. Remember, everyone was going up in arms about that. It was Fred. Yeah, it was Fred Warner on. I think it was Homer, and he was like. Anyways, it was Yeah, it's hard to remember things like that, but I remember all of my Seahawks friends were like, "That was a holding call. That should have been called." It was the play before, I believe, that big stop.
Honestly, the way we played in the playoffs that year, we deserved to lose that game. I
Yeah,
mean, it's like, sure, we beat the Eagles in the first round, but then we played the Packers, and it was in Green Bay, which historically we haven't won in Green Bay since 1999.
right.
And then Green Bay hasn't won here since 2008. So I mean, it's been if Green Bay plays us here, we win. If we play Green Bay in Green Bay, they win. So I think I lost you.
My bad. I'm not sure what happened.
You're good. I just got really big for a second. I was like, oh shit.
No, you're good. So yeah. That's I think my mouse has like a button that if you push it, I by accident pushed it, and I think I'm not sure why that happens. You
You're good.
Yeah, anyways. But let's move on. What are your expectations for Derek Hall in his first year? The reason why I kind of gave you this topic, and I know that like he was kind of a hidden guy that, he got drafted in the second round, but he was one of my favorite prospects, defensive end wise, coming out of this year's draft. The reason why I say this is because he has like a lot of the measurables that Will Anderson does, and he maybe doesn't have as much of the production, but like the Seahawks were like, why get a defensive end that early in the draft in the first round when I mean, truthfully, I think there was 8-9 defensive ends in this year's draft that you can pick and they're going to live up to a huge level. So what are your expectations for Derek Hall in his first year? And I know that defensive end was a big need going into the draft. We obviously touched this a few minutes ago. Do you think you guys still need to address it? I mean, there's still Yannick Ngakwe out there. There's still Melvin Ingram out there. So
So
what do you feel with that? I mean, obviously, yeah. You also got Mike Morris, defensive end out of Michigan in the 5th round. So
yeah, so when I talk about defensive line being a problem, I'm really meaning interior defensive line, right? So yeah, Derek Hall was nice, and he's had 16 sacks in the last 2 years, I think it was. So that was second most in the SEC. So other than Will Anderson, I don't know why I didn't hear a lot about him before the draft, but he's one of those guys I'm expecting to kind of just be a rotational piece. I don't think he's going to be I don't think he's the next Khalil Mack or anything, right? Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa type guy. But if he can get 6 sacks this year, I'd be really happy with it. 5, 6 sacks. I'd be really happy with that.
the thing that's most impressive about him is his wingspan is impressive. I think it's like the 95th percentile. He has a huge wingspan, and the bend. I mean, my biggest thing with defensive ends when you draft them, and I saw somebody else say this too the other day, and I was thinking the same thing is when you come into the league, especially as defensive ends, you're facing offensive linemen, and I mean, you have to be pro ready as a defensive lineman just because the offensive linemen are big. They are like grown men. So you have to be bulked up. You have to have strength. And that's where I think Derek Hall could maybe struggle is, getting used to the NFL flow, getting used to the weight probably is going to be a lot more. And so that's where I feel like even though I loved what he did at Auburn, his bend, his speed, his a little bit of coverage as well, obviously outside linebacker.
I did see that too. I saw he had an interception.
Yeah, at Auburn. I went into these guys, but it's like I've done so many shows since I actually broke this. I think you can go back a little while in my channel, and I'm pretty sure I broke this guy down, but it's just so far back that I was like, there's no way I'm gonna find the page where I broke him down. But anyways, wingspan off the top of my head is great. And so if you're getting a guy where in year 2 or 3, you're drafting him for kind of later on in the future, what I would compare this guy to is like the speed of Nick Bosa and power of Nick Bosa But I'm just trying to think of any defensive ends that have a huge wingspan and because he could own you with that wingspan. It's just, yeah, it's impressive to see.
See, now here's why I'm happy we took him, right? Because it's not I don't expect him to be a game wrecker by any means, right? But if we can have a solid rotation on the defensive ends, right? I think
Right.
that's awesome. Because in my opinion, I'd rather have four guys that get 5 sacks rather than one guy that gets 20 sacks.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's
Yeah.
true. I mean, playing in that one spot, obviously, you don't want 20 sacks about
Yeah.
just from your whole D line. But what I'm saying is, I want depth. I want guys that can come in and because they get tired by the end of the game. You saw it, and we saw it
Right.
in you guys against the playoffs last year. I mean, that first half, our defensive line came out and we really held our own. But then the second half, when you can't get any pass rush, your guys' offense just picks us apart, right?
Yeah.
So
The big run by McCaffrey was that in the first or second half? He had like a 50-yard run.
I don't
Um,
remember, but I know those deep crossers in the second
yeah.
half, you guys were killing us because we had no pass rush at all. I mean, it was insane. So,
Well,
but
and the thing is a lot of the knock on Derek Hall, obviously we probably need to move on from this, but the knock on him was a lot of these guys, they didn't have enough, like a lot of these guys, the knock on them was, oh, they need to find more finesse moves, or like they need to find more just pass rush, like better
mhm.
hands, basically. And to me, I looked at all of these guys, and I think Derek Hall was one of the best defensive ends as far as like just being able to like get around the defensive lineman by just using his hands and his finesse and stuff like that. So that's where like it's. I think you put him on a team like the Seahawks who can develop him. They've always been good at that. Yeah, I think you guys are going to take him very far in his career. So
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I'd expect him to make more of an impact next 2024 season because I think Boye
right,
Mafe is really going to come into his own this season. I
right.
really do.
What's up, Ben? Carcast in the house. Go check out his channel. No Border Sports is in here. Thank you guys. How's everyone doing in the chat? I don't know. You tell me. Debo, that like button. Yeah. Hopefully we get a big season out of him this year because last year was very disappointing. Ben
Ryan's
shows are
cool.
always good. Thank you. What?
Ryan's cool at No Butter Sports. We do a show together every Thursday
Oh,
on my
okay.
team.
Nice. I've seen one of them. It comes to the point where this late in the season, this is no offense to anyone, but this late in the season, I kind of just like, I don't listen to a ton of podcasts. Well,
Me
in the off
too.
season,
Me
because
too.
it's just like everyone's saying the same thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
we're probably saying the same thing. It's like, I, I don't know what else. I mean, I'm trying to put the content out there, but it's just dead. So I don't listen to a ton of podcasts this late in the season for sure, or
And
in the
that's
off
a hard
season.
thing too. I'm not trying to buy into it. That's why, like, because they'll come up with some crazy rumors that they heard from nowhere. They just thought them up in their head, right? So,
Hmm.
like, everybody's talking about, oh, are the Seahawks going to trade Jamal Adams? Well, no, you can't trade Jamal Adams because no one's willing to take on his contract.
Yeah, exactly.
So, just close the book. Don't talk about it for 2 days. So I
Right.
get it.
Yeah. Let's move on though. We've got the third topic. This is kind of quarterback talk. Geno Smith obviously kind of had an unexpected breakout season, had 4,200 yards, a little over 4,200 yards. We'll get to kind of the over-unders later on in the show. But what is, because again, the Seahawks are in a weird position because yes, you guys have, I looked it up. You don't have a first round pick from the Russell Wilson trade this year, right? Correct?
We're all out.
Yeah,
Russell
because
Wilson. Yeah, it's
it
all
was the
done.
2022 and 2023 first round pick from his trade.
Yep.
So that means you're going to have that like one pick if you don't make any other big trades. And assuming that your team is pretty good next year, which could very well could be the case, you're probably going to either have to trade up to get a quarterback that you really like and that you can develop under Geno Smith for the next few years, or just settle for a guy later in the draft because you're probably going to be like that I'd assume later to 20. I mean, you're going to be in the 20s to later teens next year again. So, the Seahawks have kind of put themselves in a weird position in that way. And so that's why I kind of ask you this question. What is the Seahawks plan at QB moving forward? Are you thrilled that the Seahawks kind of signed Geno Smith for the next 3 years? Because I saw a lot of mixed opinions on that. It's kind of a little interesting.
Well, it's $25 million a year. He's making less than Derek Carr. I think he's better than Derek Carr. He's making less than Jared Goff. I think he's better than Jared Goff, right? I don't think they're worried about it right now. I really don't. I think we're just kind of, you got to look at it this way too. Pete Carroll's 72 years old, right? I don't think he's set on taking a young guy, right? I think yes, they will draft a guy next season in the middle of rounds. And there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out next year, especially out of the Pac-12, right? Because not only do you have Caleb Williams and the guy from Oregon, I'm spacing on his name, but you have Michael Penix from UW just right down the street, right? So
yeah,
it's gonna be a really good quarterback class next year, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a guy in the 20s next year. So
I remember Penix from his Indiana days as a freshman, I believe. He used to play for Indiana, and I remember being like, "This kid is good." And
he's left-handed. It kind of throws you off that he's left-handed.
It's so weird, like with left-handed shooters in basketball, left-handed throwers in football. It's just I'm left-handed and I shoot with my left hand, and I watch video replays of myself shooting, and I'm like, that does not look normal because it's just like it looks so weird. But he's kind of reminds me of like a bigger Lamar Jackson almost, Michael Penix, the way he's able to do the RPO. That would be really exciting.
And sling it.
His cannon of an arm. I was about to get to that. And it just, that would be exciting, but we'll see how it all pans out. The thing with like I said before, it's like you guys would have the thought of Anthony Richardson, because there was reports they would have picked Anthony Richardson if he fell that far. What do you think of that?
I think they would have.
And I mean, man, that would have been exciting because like,
no, I'm glad they didn't take him.
Really? You think so? Wow. Okay. Interesting.
He was the one guy I was saying, do not take. He reminds me too much of Tim Tebow, dude.
Really?
Yeah, just look at his accuracy issues and his throwing mechanics. I just think, he's a right-handed Tim Tebow. He wore the number 15 at Florida. He just too much Tim Tebow for me, dude.
Well, to me, I think he has. I haven't watched it. I didn't really watch a lot of Tim Tebow. To me, the talent was there, and it's like the thing that kind of scares me the most with Geno Smith is there's a good chance. I mean, the 49ers, I'm not comparing your team to what the 49ers were in 2019 to 2020 when we had that really injured season, but it's like there's always a possibility that your quarterback goes down. He's an older guy, so you never know what could happen there. But if that's the case, then the Seahawks, like, they're kind of like the Giants. The Seahawks aren't in this full Super Bowl mode, but they're also not, they're kind of in the middle there. They're a mid-tier team is what I look at them. And so if they lose Geno Smith, then their team probably takes a major step back, and then you get a top 10 pick and you could draft a top tier quarterback next year. So that's the way I look at it. But what you were saying about Pete Carroll is interesting for sure. Like maybe he retires first and then they go and get a quarterback that's younger. So
it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
it wouldn't. He's getting up there, and it sucks, but he is. So.
Is there any, before we move on, is there any guys that kind of would replace him that we should be thinking about? Maybe on the roster, do you know?
The coach on the coaching staff?
Yeah, coaching staff.
Right now, I thought it was going to be Ken Norton for the longest time, but then they fired him. So I don't think it's going to be him. Probably Clint Hurt, or maybe they go, obviously go defensive, offensive coordinators first, right?
Right.
Maybe Shane Waldron because he's younger, but I think Seattle, we want a defensive-minded head coach, and I couldn't. Maybe we'll get another college coach that failed in the NFL before and trying to come
That'd
back.
be hilarious if you guys tried to get like, Jim Harbaugh. Imagine if because Jim Harbaugh left 49ers on a bad term.
Oh
And
boy,
imagine if in a few years he can't. Oh, I would die. I would
I don't
probably.
I don't I don't know if
No.
you know this or not, but I think the city might burn down if Jim
Yeah,
Harbaugh become
probably.
yeah.
Probably. That would be awful. I would hate it.
I was hoping he'd coach Denver next year because
Yeah.
I think he'd be the only one with enough cojones to bench Russell Wilson. I think he'd be the one to say, "All right, sit down. Whoever
Yeah.
their backup is coming in."
He did that in Michigan. I followed that closely. He had I believe it was senior at the time. Now he's a fifth-year senior playing for Iowa. He transferred, but Cade McNamara, he did that with Cade McNamara. He basically sat him last year, week 3, for the sophomore. His name is JJ McCarthy. So, yeah, he's not afraid to do that for sure. I want Joe to tell us about the Seahawks punter and his thoughts on Seahawks long snapper.
He's being a smart ass. I don't want to talk about special teams.
Yeah, I'm not. Again, we have a lot of 49ers people in here, so keep it. I don't know how you say it.
He's
Keep it
my buddy.
PG.
We do
Yeah.
shows together too.
Carr could replace Russell Wilson. Wait, in
So
Seattle?
no, he's talking about in Denver.
Okay.
Man, I hate Russell Wilson with a passion. So
Really?
you're living right in it. You're in Colorado, right? So
So the
how was
Nuggets just go ahead.
how was that? How was that living with all those people?
The Nuggets just won the championship, right? And I had a friend and I was like, congrats, you guys deserved it. I'm a Lakers fan. I started liking them in like 2015 when they were not good with Kobe, like his last year. And so they beat my team. But I mean, the Nuggets by far were the most talented team, I think. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I was like, congratulations, like you guys deserved it. And he was like, Broncos are next. And I'm like, no, not in the AFC. Absolutely not.
That was my favorite game last year was the opening week against the Broncos.
Yeah.
Monday night. That was
Upset
fun just because everybody hates him, right? I mean, everybody in Seattle hates Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I jumped on board about a year before he left. I just couldn't do it anymore. So
Interesting. I did not know that. I thought he was kind of your guys' savior, but maybe not.
nope. Once he started talking about leaving town, I was like, screw it, leave. You know what? If
Yeah.
you don't want to be here, then go.
Yeah. It's kind of like Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if every Packers fan really liked him that much either.
The thing with Rodgers versus Favre, and I know you're kind of young, right? You told me you're 16, but
Yeah.
at least Favre wanted to be there. You know, Favre never wanted to leave. So
Right. Tua is. I actually rubbed my eye just a second ago, and the contact like rubbed to the side, so like it's really weird right now. Tua is left-handed. Yeah, Tua is left-handed, but even the way he throws is just weird every time he throws it. Tebow time. I don't know about the Anthony Richardson thing. I think Anthony Richardson has a lot more talent than Tebow did, but hey, maybe I'd have to go look at more Tebow film.
When Tebow was coming out, it sounded like Anthony Richardson coming out.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then again, that was like what? Like when I was like
2010.
Yeah, so 3 years old. Yeah, I do not
Maybe
remember that.
2009.
2 years. Yeah, I was born in 2007. So, Jaguars should bring back Tebow for the third string quarterback. Oh my gosh, yeah, he was sell so many jerseys for the Jaguars.
They already did when they brought him at tight end. Good old Urban Meyer.
Yeah, that was a joke. Anyways, I thought he would
got to see Urban Meyer in person coaching for the Jaguars.
Really? That's funny.
I can say I was there, and it was terrible.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing now. Actually, he's on what's his name?
Fox.
I think he's on ESPN. No,
he's
Fox.
On Fox,
Yeah, because he does the game day previews for like college football. I watched.
Yeah, and then he'll get a coaching job somewhere, and he'll do really good in college, and then He'll never go back to the NFL. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that
It's
was a
kind of like
joke.
Nick Saban. Nick Saban.
Yeah, except I feel like Nick Saban's more of a respectable guy than Urban
Yeah,
Meyer.
that's true.
So
That's true. That's true. I feel like also Nick Saban, even though he failed once, I feel like he would be able to probably do pretty good in the NFL.
we'll see. That's
Um,
where he started. He started with Bill Belichick. Bill
right.
Belichick was head coach of the Browns, and yeah, Nick Saban was there. So
Yep. Okay. Third. So this is kind of no, actually, yeah, I believe real quick, I kind of forgot to put this in the topic. How did you become a Seahawks fan? We're just from birth or
yeah,
your family?
basically, yeah. My dad started taking me to the games in 2002, and
Nice. Nice.
I haven't missed a lot since. I think I've watched just about every snap since.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was
So
5 years old when we started. Me and my dad started going. My dad unfortunately passed away about 2 years ago, but we yeah, we go to all the games together. So
nice. Nice.
that's it.
I started becoming a Niners fan, I think when I was like 4 years old. Although at 4 years old, I had like 6 NFL teams that I liked.
Mhm.
When I actually started getting into them was the first memory I have of them really was like the Falcons championship game in 20 was it 12? The
Yeah,
Super Bowl year. Yeah,
2012.
well, it was 2012, but like obviously yeah, I guess that would have still been
Yeah, it would have
was it
been
2013?
January of 2013.
13, yeah. So that's when I kind of started first. Like that was one of my first memories. I think it was the Saints game the week before. So that's kind of like that whole playoff run. And then I remember sitting next to my dad the night that we lost of the Super Bowl, and I was like, "Why did we have to lose?" It was so sad. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of my first memories of the Niners for sure. So
Yeah, that's funny. What? Who does your dad like?
so that's kind of a reason why I stuck with the Niners. My dad liked them. He used to live in Australia back in the day when Jerry Rice was winning everything, and so he watched them a lot in the Super Bowl because that's the only game that they would have in
Yeah,
Australia
yeah, that
televised,
makes
and so he
sense.
kind of started liking them because of that. And then I followed along. And both of my brothers are Eagles fans. I'm the only one that likes the Niners in the family. My dad has kind of switched over to the Eagles now, but we don't want to talk about that. So let's move on. Over under. So we're gonna kind of I'll put this up on the screen in a second. So we're basically I'm gonna name a few players and a different stat about them, and I'm going to basically say, is this player going to get over? I'm explaining this obviously to you guys in the chat. Is this player going to get over this number or under this stat? So let's start with Jackson Smith and Jigba. We all expect him to kind of have a big year. And I was looking and I was kind of calculating 60 receptions. I was like, that's like, no, sorry, not receptions. It was
Targets.
targets. Yeah, targets. 60 targets. I was like, that's not that much. So I upped it to 70. Do you think he gets 70 targets in the regular season, 17 game season?
Under
Under? Really? Okay.
68. Yeah,
68.
because that's a pretty good number, 70. 70 is about right where it should be because I think so. Our third receiver last year was Marquise Goodwin, and
Right.
he got 42 catches. I had time to study this one.
Right.
This was the only question that you asked me that I was really scratching my head on because I was like, I don't know. It's a pretty good number, but I'll say under. I'll say 68. But yeah, about 70 is about the range because I think DK had, let's see, Tyler Lockett had 107 targets last year, and DK had 120. So if we could take a few away from them, which obviously will happen. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good number, but we'll go just a little bit under.
I think obviously if Tyler Lockett goes down, this is why I feel like over, because he could be the type of player that as the season goes by, a lot of receivers do this, especially towards the end of the season. I could see him just really developing really well. He has the route running skills to be an elite receiver and has good hands as well. It's just he kind of landed in the perfect situation to make this short because he's a guy who's dealt with injuries. He lands in a perfect situation. I think there's a good chance that one of your top receivers goes down, and then it'll be his time
For
to
a
shine.
couple
So
weeks. It always happens, and that's another reason I'm excited about having him is because Lockett misses a
right.
game, right? They're double covering DK. DK misses a game, they're double covering Lockett. So, yeah, no, I get it.
Well, and the thing is your team, I mean, I looked at the average. They averaged about like 28 passes per game or like attempts, 28, 29 per game, Geno Smith. And so, I mean, 17 divided by 70 is only what? I'm trying to
I don't know, I'm bad at
68.
math.
That's
It'd be
about like five, a little bit more than 5 per game. So I'm going to say a little bit over that for sure.
it's gonna be hard getting that ball to everybody though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And who knows what your check down game is going to look like, because I'm sure now with Charbonnet and Walker in that backfield, there'll probably be a lot more of that. So next one, Kenneth Walker has over 200 carries. It says on the screen he had 228. So you think he's still going to get that even with Charbonnet there?
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, I think so. He's our feature back, right? So, and that's the things he started last year not really playing. He started the first 4 or 5 games, he barely played. So, yeah, I think well over 200 touches.
I forgot about that. Rashad Penny. I did forget about that. And then he got injured. I know every fantasy guy was like, this is Rashad Penny's year.
And every Seahawks fan was too, and it's a shame that he keeps getting hurt because it's not a it wasn't like fluke. It was really fluky injuries. It wasn't like he hurt his wrist or something. Like he was breaking legs, tearing ACLs. You know, it was rough. So
yeah.
Wish him the best.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of include Tariq Woolen, but I was like, let's go to the other rookie on the other side of the ball, Devon Witherspoon. Tariq Woolen had 6 interceptions last year. I thought 5 interceptions was a good place to start. What do you think here with Devon Witherspoon? Over, under 5 interceptions?
He'll have 4. Sauce had 2 last year.
Well, go ahead.
Sauce had 2 last year. So, and I don't know. I'm thinking under. He'll. Yeah,
a lot of times, and also in college, if you look, he was not an interception guy. He had a low. I think like last year he had like 1 or 2. It was very little.
Nobody was throwing the ball this way. That's the thing.
Exactly. And so my question to you is like Tariq Woolen. Which one do they fear more, Tariq Woolen or Devon Witherspoon? I mean,
right now, Tariq.
Yeah,
right, because Tariq's been a pro, right?
Right.
But we'll see. This is going to be interesting because I think when it comes to the outside, right, whether it's receivers or cornerbacks, I think we have the best, if not one of the best in the NFL. So on both sides of the ball.
Let's see. So next one we have kind of the final one. Geno Smith has over 4,200 passing yards. Last year he had 4,282. I'm gonna say under. I feel like this is the year that I don't know. I don't know if he's his age. Great story, but I don't think he's elite.
See, I'm not worried about that. His age, because he has a lot of tread left on the tires because he hasn't been used like a normal 34-year-old quarterback. What I think is we're going to be in a lot more lower scoring games. I think our defense is really going to step it up this year, and I don't think he's going to have to throw for 4,200 passing yards. That was a franchise record last year.
Yeah.
So I don't think he breaks his own record. I think he probably throws for, let's say, 3,750. We'll say that.
I agree. You have a guy who, even though he, like I said, great story, but I just don't know if he's not like an elite quarterback every year. So it's like, I feel like you guys definitely lean a little bit, and 28, 29 passes per game is quite a bit, I would say. So,
well, and you got to look at too, we were behind, especially the second half of the season. the season, and then the first half of the season, we were in a couple shootouts there with the Lions. I think we scored like 45 points, and then the Saints, I think it was a pretty high. There was a few high scoring games that shouldn't have been because of our defense. So hopefully that gets shored up this year.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to get to your guys' comments here. I apologize if I don't get anything. I called the Seahawks taking a wide receiver with their second pick. Yeah, I kind of was a little bit surprised that they took a corner with that. I projected that Jalen Carter would go there.
Oh, he's talking about their second first round pick.
Well,
so
yeah.
He's
But like
yeah.
I thought you guys would do defensive line, and then I always kind of knew you guys would do like tight end or receiver. So
See, I thought it was going to be D-line, DN. That's what I thought. So I thought it was going to be Jalen Carter, and then who's that kid, Lucas Van Ness? If he was there, I thought they were going to take him.
I love that dude.
So one guy I was actually beating the drum for before the draft, not to toot my own horn here, but I was actually a little right because somebody else agreed with me, was God, what's his name? The linebacker from Iowa, Jack Campbell.
Oh, yeah. That was weird. They reached in that. Yeah.
Well, I was taking him with the Seahawks at the first pick we had in the second round. I was banging the drum. I go, take this guy. He's legit. And then the Lions took him in the first round. I was like, okay, I wasn't the only one.
Well, my argument to that is there might have been quite a few teams that were high on that guy, so they probably felt that they had to draft him that early. But I had done a lot of analysis. The weirdest thing about the draft is you can't really cover every dude in depth, and you either focus on the first round. I basically just focused on the first round, kind of first like top 45, 50 prospects, and then guys that the Niners could get. But I mean, that guy just came out of nowhere. I mean, I knew who he was, but when they drafted him, I was like, what? I did not expect that. So I was kind of expecting them to get a receiver with that pick, the Lions. So, yeah. I think the Seattle is going to be a pass-happy team this year.
Not with Pete Carroll coaching.
Yeah. I go back to the earlier days, like 2015, they were a very run first team. Even a few years ago, they were. Good thing we have Steve Wilkes. We'll have to see with him. I'm not completely sold that he'll be as good as DeMeco Ryans, but I do think that, his track record is very good. The only thing is, like, everyone's like, oh, yeah, Josh Rosen as a quarterback, and it wasn't his fault that, that whole thing in Arizona didn't work out. But maybe there were some leadership issues there. I don't know. I want him to succeed, but I do have some questions. I would like to see why they fired him so soon in Arizona and what was the reason for that. But yeah, we'll see. Niners will turn into a ball hawk defense. Yeah, they always are early in the year, especially when they don't have injuries.
What's up, Corey?
Yeah. Welcome in, Corey Davis. I've seen you a few times in the chat, so thank you. Go subscribe to his channel.
He's the man. He does trivia nights on, I believe it's Thursday, 49ers trivia, if you ever want to go on there.
Okay. Yeah. Geno is going to be pushing for MVP as long as he stays healthy.
That's a stretch. That's a bit of a stretch. I think he'll be a competent quarterback, but we live in the Pacific Northwest. You have to be freaking amazing to get a single MVP vote if you're all the way tucked up here.
Well, and the thing is like, I feel like, I don't know, after that Super Bowl year with the Niners, it's like, maybe I was the only one, but I thought that Jimmy Garoppolo was a top 10 quarterback, and wow, was I wrong. So I'm not saying that's the same thing. And Geno Smith has a way better arm and is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. But you also have to consider how many other quarterbacks that there are. I mean, you're assuming that Justin Herbert has a better season. They added the guy from TCU, Quentin Johnston. And then you're assuming Jalen Hurts, all these other guys. It's like, I don't know. he's maybe a top 10 quarterback, but yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to the last topic. I know we got to probably get you out of here, so we'll move on. But the last one's an interesting one. What do you think the Seahawks record will be, and where are the Seahawks going to be in this year's playoff picture? You guys were 7th last year. You snuck in. We're first in the division for a while. I was thinking midway through the season, if we don't get first in the division, our team is terrible because we just beat you guys in week two. And then we ended up getting it.
You didn't just beat us. You just slaughtered us.
Slaughtered us. So I think it's going to be a lot closer this year than it was last year because I think it's not really it is the 49ers' fault, but they didn't have a first-round pick. You guys, I think, got way better than last year.
And that's the thing is it's not only the draft, but these guys are coming into the second year, which is a make or break year, right? So both our tackles are coming into our second year. And then we got Draymond Jones, who was a big free agent signing, defensive tackle. I'm thinking 11 wins. You guys?
For the Seahawks?
Yeah.
You guys were 9-8 last year. I'd have to quickly pull up the schedule. I probably should have done that earlier.
Oh, that's good. I don't even judge it based off of every single game. I'm just saying, I know we play the Eagles. It's going to be a tough game. The Bengals is going to be a tough game. And then we play you guys twice. And I think we'll be able to take one of those.
Yeah. I don't think we're sweeping you guys and going 6-0 like we did last year. So let's go through this real quick. Rams win. Lions, that's interesting, but I'd say Lions, Panthers. The interesting one is Giants and Bengals back to back. Luckily, Giants don't have the turf that they used to in MetLife.
So I think it's a bye between those two, but there's somebody else.
Oh, it is. Okay.
There's somebody else there. So it's like it's Rams and then Lions, but then there's somebody else, right? Like the Panthers.
Yeah, it's Panthers. Yeah, it's Panthers in between. That's kind of a harder stretch, though. I mean, Giants and Bengals. But, like, the 49ers have, like, a stretch where they have, like, 3 straight road games. I don't see that on your guys' schedule. And, frankly, it's not that hard.
We have back-to-back Thursday nights, which is kind of rough. So we do play 2 Thursday night games. I think it's so hard in the NFL just to go, oh, Rams win. Because, like, their divisional opponent, they're going to play us tough, right?
Right, that's true.
I think we start the season 3-1, maybe drop one to the Bengals. It's hard. I'm saying 10-11 wins is what, and then we'll be the 5th seed is what I believe. And then I think next year we win the division 2024.
Yeah, I mean, the schedules could change so quickly because the 49ers had one of the hardest schedules last year coming in, and then it was one of the easiest. So it could swing. There could be a lot of breakout teams. On the surface, though, right now, you're playing a lot on the surface, a lot easier teams, I could say, but you're still playing the Eagles. You're still playing the Bengals. It's just, if injuries injuries could change a lot of things, but I'm going to say 10 wins. But the 49ers could have close to 10 wins. I just really hope we don't start off slow again, man.
I think the 49ers are like a 12-13 win team.
12. Okay. Again, this year, it's a hard schedule. It's harder than last year, especially with the road games. We have like one where it's again, like I said, 3 straight, and then it's tough. So we'll see.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. They didn't even need a quarterback, right? They didn't even need a quarterback. They just keep winning ball games. And I thought that's the way I want them to build the Seahawks, right? Is a team that can dominate without a top tier quarterback. And that's how I think football should be played.
I agree. It's frustrating because when you always get in those big moments, you're usually heartbroken. So I know a lot of 49ers fans would go against my reasoning here, but I kind of almost hope that we get Kirk Cousins if it doesn't work out this year. And I know you guys will hate on me in the chat because nobody wants Kirk Cousins, but at least he's reliable, okay? At
At
least
10
he
o'clock
is
in the morning.
reliable. Yeah, that's a good point. At least he's. I mean, okay, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, and I'm not saying I would absolutely hate that. But if it goes awry this year again, and every 49ers fan is frustrated like they were last year, it's just like, why not? I mean, I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, man. What
Uh,
do you
Go
got
ahead.
going on this week? The rest of the week?
I probably have a show on. I'm gonna try to do a show on Friday to Saturday, maybe. I don't know, maybe even Thursday. We'll see. And then next week, guys. I mean, if I was gonna make this announcement earlier, but next week, if we, I should have not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, I'm gonna have Jew Talk Sports. He's a Falcons content creator, really smart guy. Check him out, Jew Talk Sports, from the Falcons. And then I'm hoping to have another Saints content creator sometime next week. So, guys, this is that's going to be exciting. That's going to spice things up a little bit. I've never actually had either one of those fan bases, a content creator from there. So we'll see what happens there. But tell them once again where they can find you, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I'm just Seahawk Talk at YouTube or on YouTube. Joe Stevens. Just I do Seahawk stuff. So that's about it, right? Just a Seahawks fan, not an expert, not an analyst, but just telling you how I feel. So
Guys, get him to 100. I'm going to be posting videos after different clips of this show. And usually it's weird because like my live shows definitely don't get as much attention. And then I post the clips afterwards and they kind of, but yeah, if you guys haven't already, yeah, link in the description to his Twitter and his YouTube. I don't have Instagram, so that won't be in the description, but go check it out there, guys, because he's up and coming, and it should be a lot of fun to see where he goes next. So we need to do this again. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
David McNiner, Kirk Cousins. I wouldn't like that. Yeah, I knew that was going to get bad reactions. Nobody wants that. But hey, at least he's not like getting injured every 4 games. I'm just saying. So
that is availability is the best ability, right? So
yeah, exactly. Well, guys, good night, everyone. I'll be back probably sometime this weekend. So we'll see, and have a good rest of your night. Go Niners.
go Hawks.